We're always looking for new eras and dodging the main problem. Out of a deep fear of facing the main problem, we keep searching for all kinds of interim solutions, which I sometimes call solving a problem by creating a disaster. We turn to historian and former Knesset member Michael Ben Ari. Hello to you. Hello and blessings. Is this a new era in Judea and Samaria? The state of Israel, after this so-called innocent autonomy, started talking about recognizing the right of self-determination for the Palestinian people, something no one had dared to say before. Not Golda Meir, not anyone. Not Ben Ari. Monarch began recognize the right of self-determination for Palestinians, a masterful, skilled speaker. He was great at explaining. We all remember his verbal abilities, his amazing rhetoric, the pathos, everything, and how he would mock anyone who didn't think like him. He was an artist, a true master of speech, without a doubt. And the same goes for Joseph Berg, if that's of interest. They all eventually gave in, recognized the right of self-determination for the Palestinian people, and in the end, they brought upon us this Oslo disaster, step by step. Even Shamir went to Madrid. Why did all this happen? And this is what I want to say to my friend, esteemed colleague, and teacher, Dr. Kedar. The problem isn't about clans or the Palestinian Authority. The problem is a demographic one. We have a demographic problem here. We are in a struggle over a single piece of land, where two peoples live, each claiming ownership of this land. I also write in my book about this issue in Gaza in 2006, after the state of Israel withdrew and there were elections there, and Hamas actually won the majority of seats in the elections for the Palestinian National Council, and then a struggle began between them. Between Hamas and Fatah, and Hamas crushed Fatah. Everyone knows this story. They threw them off rooftops, shot them in the knees, blew up Arafat's presidential palace in Gaza, and so on. I'm trying to explain to you why I feel deja vu, because that's exactly what they told us back then. These are the moderates, these are the pragmatists. Let's go with the pragmatists. And I'm saying this is part of the helplessness we're expressing when we're afraid to deal with the main problem. And as I said before, the problem is what I call a demographic and geographic problem. That's why, a few years ago, I wrote a political plan when I was the chairman of Otzma Yehudit, when I founded it. Back then, I wrote a political plan called Aliyah and Construction, Immigration and Peace. I'm saying, let's go back to the foundations of Zionism. There's a problem here with Jabari. There's a problem here with Abu Mazen. Let's make a demographic decision. We can make a demographic decision. There are over 10 million Jews around the world. We can't bring them here in a 5-year plan? 2.5, 3 million Jews? I promise you we can. I was in the Knesset, and one of the most neglected, most miserable committees in the Knesset is the committee you mentioned. It's actually the most important one, the Immigration and Absorption Committee. It's the most boring thing there is. I would make a cabinet for these matters, not a security cabinet, because in the end, if I look at the immigration of the 90s, the immigration of Jews, the immigration from Russia in the 90s, from the Commonwealth of Independent States, yes, from the entire collapsing Soviet Union that saved the state of Israel. It changed the face of Israel beyond recognition, not just demographically, but also in terms of its population, its socioeconomic profile, and many, many other things that developed and evolved. And I'm saying that happened as a result of a kind of necessity. The state of Israel, to Shamir's credit, he went with American quotas and did something remarkable. 2.5 to 3 million people absorbed 1 million in a short time. Remember the Central, it was a mistake, just an emotional event. This means we can. There, it was a necessity. Right now, there's pressure. French Jews, the ground is crumbling beneath their feet. Same in Britain. In the United States, the situation isn't good. We're not offering them an alternative. We're not creating jobs. We're not adapting education for these people. We're not making community absorption possible. I dance with every wave of immigration. Come on, there's a problem here. Stop messing with Jabari's illusions. What Jabari? Jabari will end up being this small. When there are 10,000 Jews in Kiryat Arba Hebron, but instead there are 150, 200,000 Jews, the situation will change. In the end, demographics will decide and tell them, we're moving on to the next stage after immigration and building, immigration, encouraging immigration without violence, offer young people who want a good livelihood, whether it's in the Gulf states, whether it's in Europe, but invest in this, put your utmost energy into it. As I said, a cabinet for immigration affairs, I would bring in, say, the Minister of Education, make programs, create a department where there will be schools that teach math and physics and French. I have no problem with that. Maybe I even need to burden them with the language difficulties as well. I would open up affirmative action for dentists and various business people who come as French speakers. We'll do community-based absorption. There are ideas that can be done, because the foundation of Zionism is not the dream of the Emirates, or the dream, as they called it, of the clans, or the dream of the various Jabaris. That's not the idea of Zionism. It's about returning the people to their land, especially to Hebron. When you say, I'll give Hebron to the Jabari, you're giving up on your own roots. You're giving up on. Abraham, our forefather, bought this place. It's a place Israel saw as one of 3 places the world cannot claim were stolen or taken by force. Abraham bought it for full price. A continuous Jewish presence has been there 2,000 years. Why give that up for some Jabari? Why give it up to the Jabari? If you have a problem with the Palestinian Authority, deal with them, dismantle them, return to full control over Judea and Samaria. We won't be able to get out of this situation we're in with these interim ideas. The fact that they're fighting among themselves is great. I agree. If that was just the goal as a kind of tactic, then I'd say, I'm on board with it. The problem is that it's a strategy. The problem is that there are those who see it as a goal, as a solution. I don't see it as a solution. You underestimate their ethos. You underestimate their fundamental worldview, which says that you are the outsider, you are the occupier, you are the colonialist, and this rejection connects them. It doesn't just connect Muslim Arabs, it also connects Christian Arabs, who are directly tied to an ethos you wouldn't believe, and also to the Al-Aqsa ethos. Some of the best Christian thinkers are connected to this. There's research on this by Lamor Delas, thank you. Leading Christian thinkers are connected to the Al-Aqsa ethos. Why? Because it's an ethos that unites the Arabs, the Arab identity in this context, against the Zionist rule. The Zionist entity, or as they tend to call us, the occupier, the occupation, that's how they refer to it, that's the name that comes out for them. Listen to everything Ayman Odeh says. Ayman Odeh is not just a private individual. He was elected in 2020 by 450,000 Arab voters. That's 97 to 98% of Arabs who voted for Ayman Odeh, who voted for the joint list. And Nimr Darwish says, we are in the belly of the whale. When he says in the belly of the whale, he means, on the one hand, we are at a disadvantage. On the other hand, we are Trojan horses. That's what they're aiming for. Today, this Islamist worldview is spreading among the Arab public. And it's important to remember that the Islamic movement is divided into 2 parts, the northern branch and the southern branch. The northern branch does not recognize the state of Israel and is not willing to destroy it from within, but rather from the outside. That's Raid Saleh, whom we know. In contrast, Mansour Abbas, his brother, says, I will destroy the state of Israel from within. I hear this proposal. It's tempting, just like Oslo was tempting back then, just like they once tempted us by saying they would collect the weapons, and so on and so forth. Let's give them. Let's allow them. It's exactly like the temptation that if only we give them work permits in Gaza, if only we give them enough space to escape the core problem, we have a dispute over this tiny piece of land. I'm not saying, even if Judea and Samaria are part of the land, like someone said this week, if you try to write the name of the state of Israel on a globe, you have to go into the Mediterranean Sea. You can't even fit the name Israel on the map. So we're going to give power to someone who is basically working towards our destruction, so they can grow stronger and then attack us. Maybe there will be some temporary gain. A day, 2 days, 3 days, maybe a year or two, but not even that. But the real taste, the real essence, is just an illusion. It's just an illusion, because this whole concept of the Hamula clan doesn't exist. Dr. Michael Ben Ari, thank you very much for a fascinating conversation. Thank you, Pini. Thank you.